Incredible twist, officer slaps judge in court. Unbeknownst, it's the chief judge revealed. The crowded courthouse buzzed with tension that swirled like a brewing storm. Alex Thompson, a 35-year-old police officer, stood at the edge of the courtroom, his pulse racing as he faced a scene that shocked even him. The defendant, a childhood friend falsely accused of theft, was being torn apart by public scrutiny. As the judge's gavel banged hard like thunder, Alex's heart seized. He felt a fiery mix of anguish and anger. The injustice was too unbearable. In a rush of hot emotion, he slapped the judge, only to realize a split second too late that it was Chief Judge Patricia Monroe, a figure both feared and respected in Maplewood. Gasps swept through the room, shock sharpening every face in the crowd. Alex's world came crashing down in that instant. Growing up, he and his brother Jake had envisioned bright futures, dreams of adventure beyond their small town. Now, as crime rates shot up and the local economy crumbled underfoot, it felt like those dreams were buried along with their father's old truck. Jake longed to escape Maplewood, yearning for a life unfettered by police sirens and poverty. Their phones buzzed with messages, but those dots of light felt like they were lost in a world heavy with disappointment. As whispers of betrayal echoed through the courthouse halls, the air thickened with the smell of fear mixed with a hint of sweat. What was he thinking? People murmured. Has he lost it? Alex could only stand there, eyes filled with disbelief as friends turned into adversaries. Accusations flew like arrows aimed at his integrity. The very community he pledged to protect was now questioning his commitment to justice. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he grasped the reality of his actions, the weight of his fractured bond with Jake pressed heavily on his chest. Their fights had turned from what made them brothers to what pulled them apart. Determined to make things right, Alex knew he had to face the consequences. What started as a chaotic day snowballed into a chance for change. He wanted to reunite his community, spark conversations that couldn't be ignored any longer. He called for a public forum, hoping to create a space where everyone could voice their thoughts. Fighting to overcome the very prejudices he vowed to protect others from, Alex stood up, prepared to dismantle the walls that threatened to divide him from Jake and their town. The moment of healing loomed, promising potential. But deeper shadows loomed as the community braced for the fallout. Could Alex's fight for redemption mend the fractures between him and his brother? Would his desperate plea for a brighter future resonate with the town, or would it push them further apart? In those final moments before stepping into that forum, doubt clawed at him. Could he truly bridge the gap between the past and a hopeful tomorrow? The night before the forum felt heavy with anticipation. Alex tossed and turned, sleep eluding him like a ghost. Every thought was a replay of that fateful moment in court. The echo of the slap, the shock on Judge Monroe's face, the gasps from the crowd, it all swirled in his mind, sharper with each passing second. Would the community even listen to him now? Had he crossed a line he could never return from? He rose before dawn, the sky just beginning to blush with the first hints of sunlight. The world outside was almost quiet, just the distant sounds of dawn coming to life. He grabbed a cup of coffee, his hands trembling slightly. Today was about more than just him. It was about the town, about Jake, about everyone who felt unheard. He took a deep breath and allowed himself one thought: it had to matter. As he made his way to the community center, the streets of Maplewood felt different. There were fewer honks, less shouting, but tension clung to the air like humidity in a summer storm. The center was a humble building, but inside, chairs had been set up, and the faint smell of coffee seeped through. Familiar faces began to assemble, each marked with curiosity and judgment. Alex stood at the front, his heart drumming against his ribcage like a wild animal. He saw his mother in the corner, concern etched in her wrinkles. Jake was not there. That realization hit harder than he expected. He thought they were past this, but now, they felt more distant than ever. As the meeting began, he felt an unexpected surge of emotion. He spoke, and the words tumbled out with urgency. I know I messed up. I know people are angry. His voice broke slightly, and he steadied himself. But I'm here to listen. We all feel betrayed. We all feel lost. You may not trust me right now, and I get that, but this community belongs to all of us. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some nodded, others crossed their arms defiantly. Alex locked eyes with each person, feeling the weight of their gazes. He felt exposed yet determined. I want to bridge the gap between us. Not just between me and you, but the divisions we've been living with for too long. Then, he invited others to share their stories. One by one, voices emerged. A mother spoke of violence in the neighborhood. An elderly man talked about a broken justice system. A young girl whispered about her dreams, shadowed by fear. Each story piled on the last, and the anger of the crowd morphed. Where once there was blame, there began to mix understanding, a shared pain that transcended individual grievances. But when the whispers began again, this time darker, Alex felt panic rise in his chest. What about Jake? Someone shouted from the back. What does he think of this? Silence gripped the room. Alex's heart thudded violently. Jake had always been the one to push boundaries, to challenge authority. What would he say now? Would he feel betrayed too, or could he see this as a chance for reconciliation? The community shifted in their seats, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Somehow, he had to reach Jake. He had to convince him that healing was possible, both for their fractured family and for Maplewood. With resolve flickering like a candle, Alex decided he wouldn't shy away from the hard work this would take. But could he get to Jake before it was too late? What if today was the day everything changed for their relationship, or the day it ended for good? As he stood there, one thought loomed large in his mind. Would Jake even care to listen? The atmosphere in the community center felt electric, a potent mix of tension and hope. Alex's gaze darted among the faces, searching for a sign that someone understood his plea. He could feel their doubt, their bitterness still simmering. But he needed them to see that he was genuinely trying. Let us refocus, he urged, pushing through the thick air of uncertainty. This isn't just about me. It's about Jake, and all of you. We have the chance to do better, to be better. His voice resonated, drawing the attention of the naysayers. A heavy-set man in the front row raised his hand, a challenge etched into his brow. You think this is just about making amends? What about the real issues? What are you doing to fix them? The question hung like a weight, and Alex's stomach churned. You're right, he said. This isn't just about what I can do. It's about all of us stepping up together. With each passing moment, he could feel the fragile bonds forming, like threads woven through the chairs and the stories being shared. As stories unfolded, he realized how much pain was buried beneath the surface. Each tear shed felt like a pebble dropping into a pond, rippling outwards, connecting them all. A woman with tired eyes spoke about losing her son, a victim of a crime that had shook their neighborhood. Her voice cracked, and Alex felt the ache in his chest expand. Then, a shift occurred when someone shouted, "Sounds nice, but how do we know this isn't just talk?" A murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Fear bubbled just beneath the surface, an instinct to protect what little they had left. I can't promise change overnight, he admitted, feeling the weight of vulnerability. But I'll fight for it. I'll be your voice. All of us here can be each other's strength. But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. He thought of Jake, alone somewhere, feeling betrayed. I need to connect with Jake, he whispered desperately, not acknowledging he said the words aloud until they took the breath from the room. What about Jake? Another voice broke in, more urgent this time. What if he doesn't want anything to do with this? The question rattled through the crowd. For the first time, Alex felt lost. "I'll reach him," he stammered, clutching the edge of the podium. "He is my brother. He is family." A moment of silence enveloped the room. Then, from somewhere at the back, someone clapped a slow, hesitant clap that soon turned into a wave, more people joining in. Their faces started to shift, reflecting subtle signs of understanding and unity. And amidst that sea of faces, Alex caught a glimpse of someone moving at the door. His heart dropped as he realized it was Jake, standing at the threshold. "Jake!" Alex called out, the thrill of hope flooding his veins. The room quieted instantly, every eye now riveted on the figure paused just outside. Jake hesitated, his face obscured by shadow. Alex felt a tidal wave of emotions crash over him. He could see the worry in Jake's stance. They were brothers, but the distance felt monumental. He wanted to shout, to rush forward, but fear kept him rooted in place. Finally, Jake stepped inside, locking eyes with Alex. Time seemed to stretch as he searched for the right words. "Are you gonna slap me too?" Jake's voice was sharp, laced with bitterness. And suddenly, everything hung in the balance. Would Jake listen to the brother he once looked up to, or would this moment shatter into fragments that could never be pieced back together? The stakes had never been higher, tension so thick it could choke the air. Would they finally find the path to healing, or was this just the beginning of everything falling apart? The silence felt like a heavy blanket across the room, suffocating yet pregnant with possibilities. Alex froze, heart hammering in his chest. All eyes fixed on Jake, who stood like a statue, arms crossed defiantly against the emotional storm swirling around them. "What do you mean, slap you?" Alex managed to force out, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and hurt. "That's not what this is about, Jake. I just want to talk. We need to talk." Jake's expression flickered for a moment, revealing a flash of vulnerability before hardening again. "Why? So you can pour your heart out while I sit here, listening to your excuses?" His voice dripped with sarcasm, a shield, a distant echo of the brother Alex used to know. "You're the one who messed everything up, remember?" The crowd shifted, their collective breath held tight. They could see the tension like a taut wire, ready to snap. A momentary glance exchanged between Alex and Jake spoke volumes, years of unspoken words, moments lost, and a chasm that felt insurmountable. "Jake, I know I've let you down," Alex began, his voice low and filled with sorrow. "But I'm here now, trying to be better for both of us. I can't change the past, but I want to change the future. Please, just give me a chance." Jake scoffed, stepping back, and the action was like a knife plunging into Alex's heart. He glanced at the others in the room, all eyes watching, waiting. He could almost taste their judgment. "Give you a chance?" Jake shot back, a bitter laugh escaping. "You've had your chances. Every time you got into trouble and left me to clean up your mess." His words sliced through the air, making the atmosphere feel even more charged. "What's different now? You think a little speech will fix everything?" "I'm not expecting magic to happen overnight," Alex replied, desperation creeping into his voice. "But if we don't try to fix this, if you don't give me a chance, then we're both lost. I can't do this alone anymore." Jake's fierce expression faltered for just a second as he flinched at the truth in his brother's words. The ache in Alex's chest throbbed harder. He took a cautious step forward, emboldened by the silent support of the crowd behind him. "I see how much pain this has caused you," Alex continued, vulnerability swelling in his throat. "I can't imagine the weight you've carried. But Jake, I'm fighting for us. I won't give up on you, even if it hurts. Even if it's hard. I need you to at least try." The air between them simmered, a combination of unease and the faintest glimmer of hope. Alex could see the struggle etched all over Jake's face, the desire to be angry, to reject, clashing with the longing for connection. Finally, Jake broke his gaze and looked at the floor, the shift in his posture revealing the fragile state of his heart. "What if I don't want to be fixed, Alex?" His voice was quieter now, layered with uncertainty and pain. The room shifted, the collective energy breathing in sync with the crack in Jake's armor. In that moment, everyone felt the shared fear of vulnerability, the hope that perhaps this wasn't the end but merely a chance to start over. "I know it's scary," Alex responded softly, inching closer despite the danger of rejection. "But sometimes healing comes in the most unexpected ways. I don't want to lose you. Not again." There was a palpable tension as they stood on the brink of something monumental. Each heartbeat echoed in the silence, each breath suspended in the air. Could this be the moment everything changed? "Just say something, please," Alex whispered, feeling the tears welling in his eyes. Jake clenched his fists, staring at the ground, as the weight of the past and choices loomed large. Would he choose to step forward and bridge the gap, or would fear win and push him further away? As the community held their breath in anticipation, Alex waited, heart racing, wondering if this moment would mark the beginning of their healing or deepen the rift that had grown between them. In the stillness, uncertainty held its breath, leaving the next words hanging precariously in the air, ready to shatter. Or heal. What would Jake choose? Jake's eyes remained glued to the floor, a storm of emotions flickering beneath the surface. The tension hung thick, wrapping around them like the heavy cloak of impending rain. Alex took a chance, inching closer, their shared history binding them like invisible threads too taut to break. "Look, I know you feel abandoned," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper, "but you're not alone. Not anymore. I'm here, and I want us to rebuild what we had." A fathomless pause stretched out, and Jake's shoulders sagged slightly, as if the weight of the world rested upon them. The audience, a mix of friends, family, and acquaintances, watched silently, witnessing a moment far more intimate than any show of words. They felt the pulse of both brothers beating in sync. "What if I don't know how to forgive?" Jake finally muttered, his voice thick with emotion. "What if I can't look past what you've done?" "Then we take it one step at a time," Alex replied firmly, yet softly, willing the words to reach Jake's guarded heart. "I'm asking for a chance to start over. Just a little bit of faith. I'll carry the burden of all the mistakes I made, but I can't do it alone. Help me help you." For a heartbeat, it felt as if Jake would lean into the offer. But then he straightened, heaving as if trying to gather strength from somewhere deep inside. The anger, the hurt, it filled him, yet there was a flicker of something else, curiosity, perhaps. Longing. The crowd instinctively leaned in, wanting to crack the shell that had kept these brothers apart for so long. "What if I want to be angry?" Jake's voice thrummed through the air like a cable taut with tension. "What if I need to feel that before I can even think about forgiveness?" "Then feel it," Alex urged, desperate yet hopeful. "Shout it out, let it consume you. But just know that I'll be here through every scream and every moment of doubt. I'm not going anywhere." The air hummed with possibility. The crowd exchanged glances, sensing a shift. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with emotions laid bare. Jake's clenched fists began to loosen. There was a hint of conflict in his eyes, two parts of his heart battling against one another. "What if I said I wanted to stay angry forever?" Jake questioned, eyebrows knotted, searching for resolve. "What then?" "Then I'd stand with you," Alex replied, the conviction in his voice unwavering. "Even if it takes a lifetime, and I'd hope it doesn't. I'd wait. Because as much as I messed up, you are worth it to me." As if by some unspoken signal, the room seemed to breathe collectively, a release of pent-up emotion swirling like silent confetti. For the first time since this storm began, Jake actually looked at his brother, truly looked at him. Their gazes locked, and Alex saw recognition flicker in Jake's eyes, the shadow of a choice forming. "You've put me through hell, Alex," Jake said quietly, but the icy edge was shimmering. "How do I know this isn't just another empty promise?" There it was, the invitation for Alex to break through the wall. Every part of him screamed to reach out, to bridge that gap between them. "You don't," Alex said simply, the weight of honesty grounding his words. "But I won't give up trying. Even if it's hard." If it breaks me, I'll pick myself up and keep coming back. Because that's what family means to me. As Jake absorbed the intensity of Alex's sincerity, something shifted again. The facade was starting to crack. But just then, a loud voice called from the back, interrupting the fragile moment. Enough of this. What are we all waiting for? It was their mother, face pale, but her eyes were alive with concern. You two need to sort this out, once and for all. Every person in the room felt the gravity of her words. The tension thickened once more with her disruption, but it only reminded Alex of the stakes. The choice loomed between them: regret or connection. Jake's lips pressed together, his indecision vibrated like a taut bowstring about to snap. The silence returned, thick and suffocating once more. Would he choose to embrace the uncertain path of healing, or would he retreat into anger? In that moment, the weight of their past loomed larger than life. Would the darkness swallow them whole? What now, Jake? Alex pressed, desperation crawling back into his voice. What will you do? Jake's breaths quickened, the pressure in the room pushing against his chest. He felt every pair of eyes on him, their hopes and fears mingling with his own. The weight of Alex's gaze was unyielding, igniting a battle within him. He started, the word getting caught in his throat. I don't know. The vulnerability choked him. What if he chose wrong? What if his anger became a habit, one he couldn't shake off? His thoughts swirled, pulling him deeper into a familiar abyss. But you can choose, Alex urged, his voice unwavering. It's your choice, Jake. A shadow flickered across Jake's face as he considered the years of pain, the betrayal wrapped tightly around his heart. Yet, it wasn't just anger that lived there. There were memories too: laughter, shared secrets, moments of brotherhood that felt miles away yet so close. What if that choice tears us apart even more? Jake's brows knitted together, searching for a deeper truth. What if forgiving you means allowing more hurt? Alex hesitated, weighing his brother's words. It might. But we can't keep living in the past. It will only rot us from the inside. Let us fight the pain, together. Jake's heart raced. He wanted so desperately to scream, to push Alex away, to hide behind his fortress of anger like it would protect him. But it wouldn't. Deep down, he knew it wouldn't. That their mother shifted, stepping forward, the uncertainty etched on her face mirrored in everyone else's. Boys, please, this isn't just about you two. We're all watching. We've all felt the ripple effects. Jake caught the pain in her eyes. The family that once sparkled with laughter now sat fractured, the light dimmed by years of unresolved conflict. Mom, he said softly, the fight in him faltering. I can't just switch off the hurt. I'm not asking for that, she responded, her voice trembling but strong. I want you both to find your way back to each other. It won't be easy, but love. Love is worth the struggle. The simplicity of her words hit him like a wave. Love. It was complicated and messy, but it remained. That thought danced around in his mind, nudging the edges of his anger. What if I can't forgive? What if it's just too late? Jake finally directed his words back to Alex. Then we keep trying, Alex said, desperation lining his tone. Even if it means stumbling. We pick each other up. But if you want this anger, if you need it right now, go ahead. Scream at me. Let it all out. Jake felt the tears prick at the corners of his eyes. He wanted to be that angry person who raged against the injustice of it all. But the ache of wanting to break free from the shackles of resentment was stronger. And then, a flicker of something shifted the beginnings of resolve. Fine, he exhaled, shaking his head slightly as if to clear his thoughts. I'll give you a chance. But you better not mess this up again. A gasp traveled through the audience, an electric charge of surprise threading through the room. Okay, Alex nodded, tears shimmering in his eyes. That's all I need. The tension eased, if only for a moment, but just as they began to breathe a little easier, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, aggressively demanding his attention. He fished it out and glanced at the screen, his brow furrowing instantly. "What is it?" Alex asked, sensing the shift again, worry creeping back into his expression. "It's Dad," Jake muttered quietly. "He's calling." In the silence that followed, everything around them faded. It was as if the walls held their breath. Their father had been a ghost, a figure lurking in shadows for far too long. Would this phone call send them spiraling back, or could it be the wild card they never expected to unfold? "Jake, is everything okay?" Alex whispered, a hint of anxiety rising in his tone. Jake bit his lip, staring at the screen. He felt the weight of their past mixed with unforeseeable uncertainty. Would this be the beginning of a healing journey or yet another heartbreak? "Let us find out," he said finally, summoning all the courage he could muster as he hit the answer button. Was this moment a new beginning, or would it tear the fragile bridge they were slowly constructing over the chasm of their pain? Jake's thumb hovered over the screen, heart pounding in rhythm with the tension in the room. He could hear the muffled breaths of his family, the unspoken words swirling like a tempest around him. The call connected, and suddenly, a familiar baritone voice exploded through the speaker. "Jake! It's about time you picked up." Their father sounded both exasperated and irritated, as if Jake had committed a cardinal sin simply by not being available. "Dad," Jake started, a knot tightening in his stomach. Listen, I don't have time for this," his father cut him off. "I need you to meet me tonight. We have things to discuss, important things." Jake's mind reeled. Important? What could possibly be important after all this time? He glanced at Alex, who was watching him intently, his face a mixture of concern and curiosity. It felt surreal to even hear his father's voice after years of silence. "I'm busy," Jake responded, his voice barely more than a whisper. "I can't just drop everything." "Busy?" His father echoed, disbelief dripping from every syllable. "Busy building your little life? You think that's the priority? Look, you may not get it, but you're still my son, and I need you to man up. We need to talk about your mother." That word hung heavy in the air, like an anchor. Mom. She had been the glue holding them together, even in their fractured state. Shadows crept across Jake's thoughts. What about her? She's making decisions without consulting me. It's time we set the record straight. A fire ignited beneath Jake's composure. You mean it's time for you to make demands like you always do? His voice rose, defiance bubbling up from the depths of his long-simmering resentment. He could sense his mother's anxious presence, ready to jump in, but he held her gaze, pleading for silence. Do you even hear yourself? His father snapped, anger crackling through the call. You want to play the victim card? I'm trying to protect this family. Protect it? You've been ghosting us, Dad. Protect would mean actually being here. Behind Jake, the audience shifted restlessly, emotions running high. He felt their disapproving or sympathetic gazes, amplifying his urge to scream. Enough. His father's voice thundered, shaking the walls. I'm not asking for permission, I'm telling you to meet me. With a shaky pause, Jake realized how little control he had over the narrative unfolding around him. This isn't just about your terms anymore. Then what is it about? His father's tone took a different turn, softer but laced with desperation. What do you want, Jake? I want to know why you never fought for us. Why you left. His father's silence dripped like a melting icicle, thick and painful. Jake almost regretted pouring his heart out, but a release surged through him. There was so much left unspoken, words that had built barricades and walls of hurt between them. You're being naive, his father finally said, the cracks of vulnerability evident in his voice. It wasn't easy for me either. I thought you'd be better off without the mess. The room fell into a hushed quiet, a shared moment of contemplation. Jake's heart raced. With each beat, he felt the walls he erected begin to tremble. Could their father's fear of failing them have led to his abandonment? Motioning towards Alex, who was anxiously waiting, Jake felt the brotherly bond stretch fragile yet hopeful. We need to talk in person. If you truly want to have a shot at fixing this, it starts now. Fine, his father relented, though Jake could sense the hesitation tangled in his acceptance. Tonight, then. Don't make me wait. As Jake ended the call, disbelief and anxiety swirled together. What just happened? Alex asked, his voice a mix of encouragement and worry. I don't know, Jake admitted, his head spinning. But I feel like the ground beneath us just cracked open. Are you really going to meet him? Alex pressed, his eyes darting between hope and uncertainty. Yeah, Jake nodded, feeling an unnerving blend of fear and courage surge through him. But I don't know what it will change. The tension reformed in the room. Each breath between them heavy with the weight of the unknown. They were still teetering on a thin line of possibility, ready to either fly or fall. What if this leads us back to darkness? Alex whispered, a flicker of doubt creeping in. Jake swallowed hard, pushing past the turmoil. What if it doesn't? With that question hanging in the air, both brothers sensed that the evening ahead could reshape the very foundation of their family or shatter it entirely. Would Jake take the leap to reconnect, or would the chasm of their past threaten to pull them back down? Jake stared at the glowing screen, the moment of silence echoing in his thoughts. The weight of the call still pressed on him, a mix of confusion and a fierce longing for resolution. What if this leads us back to darkness? Echoed in his mind, bouncing between walls of doubt that he fought hard to keep at bay. We need to gear up for this, no matter what, Alex said, breaking the stillness. He leaned forward, eyes bright with a mixture of adrenaline and worry. What if Dad isn't ready? What if it just gets worse? We're about to find out, Jake replied, trying to sound braver than he felt. As the minutes crept by, they both readied themselves in the quiet of the cramped living room that had once been a sanctuary but now felt stifling, a reminder of everything that had gone unsaid and undone. The clock ticked louder with each passing second, every echo a countdown to the impending confrontation. Jake's stomach churned. He couldn't remember the last time he had seen his father, let alone be face to face with him after all those years. What if he doesn't see things my way? He wondered aloud, the fear creeping in. Just stay grounded. You've got your truth, and he can't take that away from you, Alex assured him, a small, hopeful smile appearing on his lips. Jake clenched his fists, willing the doubt to dissipate. Right, he said, breathing deeply. I have to hold on to that. When the time finally came, Jake stepped out into the cool evening air. The streets were bustling in normalcy that felt like a stark contrast to his turmoil. With every step towards the diner where they agreed to meet, his heartbeat thundered audibly, matching the hurried footsteps of passers-by. Each breath he took carried an undercurrent of anxiety, crackling through his veins like static electricity. As he arrived, the neon lights flickered overhead, casting a surreal glow over the familiar setting. It felt like stepping into a memory wrapped in tension. Would his father even show? Or would he skirt the responsibility yet again, leaving the wound raw and open? Jake scanned the diner, heart plummeting as he spotted the figure hunched in the back corner. His father, face shadowed under a baseball cap, was nursing a coffee like it was a lifeline. He looked older, weary, the weight of years etched deeply into his features. Taking a deep breath, Jake pushed through the door and crossed the threshold. The clatter of silverware and the murmurs of patrons faded into a dull hum around him. Celebrating couples and lonely souls alike were oblivious to the storm brewing in that quiet corner. Jake, his father said, voice flat, yet carrying a hint of longing, a ghost of a connection they had been stripped of. Dad, Jake replied, tension crowding his words. We need to talk. They sat across from each other, an invisible wall between them. Jake wanted to yell, to plead, to demand answers, but something held him back. Instead, he chose to take a deep breath and embrace the uncertainty. I want you to understand how hard this has been for us, Jake started, uncertainty shifting within him. His father shifted, taking a sip of his coffee. It's never easy, he replied, but his eyes had softened, the walls beginning to shift and crack with a hint of vulnerability. What do you mean? Jake pressed. You didn't fight for us. You left. An awkward silence filled the space between them, thickening the air. The truth hung heavily over the table, almost palpable. Would they finally uncover the reasons behind his father's departure, or was it too late for bridges to be built? I thought it was for the best, for you, for your mother, his father murmured, seemingly grappling with his own unresolved guilt. The more Jake listened, the more he realized that understanding didn't mean absolution. Maybe you should have trusted us to handle it, he said, his voice barely more than a whisper but heavy with a weight of expectation. Maybe then things would have been different. Jake's heart raced as he awaited his father's response, caught between daring to hope and bracing for the worst. This was the moment they could either begin to heal or spiral deeper into pain. He couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would change everything, but how? Just then, the diner door swung open, and a figure stepped in, a stranger with a presence that demanded attention. The air changed, thick with tension. Jake felt it before he even saw the stranger's face. Who was this newcomer, and what did they bring with them? Jake's heart pounded, drawing him back into the storm he'd thought he'd begun to face. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he turned to face the intruder. The moment felt suspended, as if the world outside the diner had stopped. The newcomer was tall, with an air of authority that was unmistakable. He wore a crisp navy uniform, complete with insignia that indicated his position. For a brief, gut-wrenching moment, Jake feared the worst. What if he was here about his father? About them? His father's gaze flicked towards the officer, a flash of unease crossing his face, which only intensified Jake's anxiety. They shared a knowing look, clearly something unsaid flickering between them. The air crackled as Jake strained to understand the tension unfolding before him. What do you want? His father finally asked, his tone steely but lined with an undercurrent of panic. The officer took a step closer, eyes scanning the room until they fixed on Jake. The officer's expression softened slightly, a hint of recognition sparking in his gaze. I'm looking for someone, he said, voice authoritative but not unkind. Jake Holloway. Jake's heart raced, the confrontation with his father momentarily forgotten. Yeah, that's me, he replied, forcing the words out. The officer's demeanor shifted, and he pulled an envelope from his uniform pocket. You need to see this. It's important. Jake's pulse quickened. What could be so urgent? Was this about his father or something else entirely? He accepted the envelope with shaking hands, his father leaning in closely. They both watched as Jake tore it open, pulling out a sheet of paper. The moment he read the words, his stomach dropped. It was a notice of arrest. A warrant had been issued against his father for assault and failure to pay child support, an echo of his childhood that he never intended to confront. What the hell? Jake exclaimed, incredulity mingling with anger. You didn't tell me you were in trouble. His father shook his head, desperation etched across his face. It's not what you think. I didn't do this. The fear spilling from him made Jake feel like he stepped into a different reality, one where his father was still the man he hoped he could trust. The officer maintained a respectful distance, but Jake could see the understanding in his eyes. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't crucial. We need to get you out of here, he said, urgency pulsing through his words. Everything felt like it was crashing down around him. Was this what their reunion would lead to? Instead of healing, they were barreling toward more chaos. Jake looked from his father to the officer and back, confusion gripping him tight as panic flared in his chest. Is this why you left us? He asked, his voice cracking with raw pain. Because you were running from your responsibilities? I had my reasons, his father replied, of a different desperation and anxious plea hidden beneath his rough exterior. I wanted to keep you safe from this. Safe? You think running away is keeping us safe? Jake shot back, feeling the tears prick his eyes. Everything he had wanted to understand in this moment was slipping away, replaced by a new, sharper pain. the officer took a step forward, now clearly feeling the weight of the room. Listen, Jake. I can help your father. But he needs to come with me. You need to make a choice. Will you trust him after everything? Jake's mind whirled, caught in a tangle of emotions. Did he trust a man who had left him? Did he even know this man before him? Jake, just think, his father implored, anguish etched in the lines of his face. This is our chance to face it together. As the weight of their shared history lingered in the air, Jake felt a rush of indecision. Should he give this broken man another chance? Or was he destined to repeat the mistakes of the past? The officer waited, the silence stretching uncomfortably. Jake could feel his heart pounding, each beat echoing the memories they'd tangled in. What would he choose? Before he could gather his thoughts, the diner door swung open again, catching everyone's attention. This time, it was someone familiar, an ex-girlfriend, Mia, who looked wide-eyed and fearful. The situation had just escalated, and with it, the stakes. Who would have thought the past could catch up so fast? Jake's heart raced again, the questions growing heavier. What had she come to say? What new twist awaited them in this unfolding drama? The atmosphere became electric, a mix of anxiety and anticipation flooding the small diner. Mia's eyes darted between Jake, his father, and the waiting officer, a storm of emotions reflected in her worried gaze. Jake felt his stomach twist tighter as she approached them slowly, her steps neither hurried nor casual. What is going on? She asked, her voice steady yet edged with concern. The sight of her temporarily jolted Jake out of his whirlwind of family drama, momentarily grounding him. Mia, it's complicated, he managed to say, the chaos of the moment crashing against the calm facade he tried to maintain. I heard the shouting, she pressed, turning her focus to his father. Is everything okay? Not really, Jake said and motioned vaguely to the officer, who stood patiently by, awaiting the next move. Dad is in trouble. We just found out. What are you talking about? Mia's brow furrowed, her attention shifting to his father, who had nervously run a hand through his hair. I didn't mean for you to find out like this, Jake's father sighed, the weight of years of guilt hanging heavy in his voice. I just wanted to protect you both. Mia crossed her arms, an instinctive posture that stifled any hint of compassion. By leaving? By running away? That doesn't seem protective to me. She always had a way of cutting through confusion with clarity, and Jake admired her for it. Look, I know I messed up. His father's voice rose slightly, filled with frustration that came from years of unresolved issues. You don't understand. Try me, Jake demanded, his voice faltering between anger and hurt. Silence filled the diner like a heavy wool blanket. The officer exchanged glances with Mia, as if gauging the turmoil bubbling beneath the surface. Finally, breaking the quiet, he leaned closer. We're not here to assign blame. Just to help. What do you want from me? Jake's father shot back, his bravado cracking as vulnerability seeped through. You think I want this life? I didn't want to become this person. The officer's presence remained a constant, grounding them all amidst their rising emotions. The only way forward is to confront the past. Together. And in that moment, Jake realized something pivotal. This night wasn't just about the confrontation with his father, it was about reconnection, about uncovering layers hidden under pain and anger. You have to stop running, Dad, he said, staring into the depth of his father's weary eyes. We all have. Mia stepped closer as if to show her support, placing a reassuring hand on Jake's shoulder. You don't have to do this alone anymore, she added gently. You have both of us. But what if I fail again? His father's voice cracked, and the raw honesty shattered the tension in the diner. Then we will face it together, Jake replied, his voice steady and clear. I'm tired of pretending we're fine when we're not. We can't keep running from what's right in front of us. The officer nodded, recognizing the fragile yet powerful moment of clarity emerging. You see, there's strength in vulnerability. It is never too late to choose to fight for your family. Jake's heart raced as he felt the prospect of healing shimmer just within reach. The past loomed large, but he was beginning to feel the bonds uncoil, threads woven together from the pain, into something hopeful. His father looked between Jake and Mia, realization dawning that maybe this was his chance, a moment to stand firm instead of fleeing. I want that too, he finally admitted, voice breaking through the wall that had pushed them apart for so long. Then let's not waste it, Jake urged, determination sparking within him. Let us start here, now. Mia watched intently as everything flipped. The officer stepped forward, extending his hand beyond the boundaries of animosity. Then let us move forward. There's work to be done, as a family. As their hands clasped together, everyone felt a rush of fierce hope and renewed purpose. The struggles of the past would always be part of them, but so too would this moment of recognition, of shared commitment, a commitment to try, again. And again. I don't want to lose you guys again, Jake said, vulnerability spilling into the open. You won, his father replied, resolve settling in his voice. Not this time. The diner buzzed with the hope of what could be a shared weight lifting, hearts intertwining to mend frayed connections. Whatever obstacles loomed ahead, they would face them together. And for the first time, the idea of healing didn't feel entirely impossible. Jake took a deep breath, looking towards Mia and then back at his father. Let us give this a shot. Together. And as they left the diner, the air felt different, a new beginning waiting just around the bend. Now, for you reading this, if you felt the emotions, if you resonated with this journey, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really helps out. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending and what it means to you, and as it's crucial to share these transformations, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful change. This is the moment to show your support, don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand how important this is.